I don't even really know how to start this.
I don't understand. How did this get made?
Because money, dude.
What? But where? What money is gonna get made from this?
You don't think it's gonna
It's
be
a
successful?
1990s movie being made in the 21st century, and it's kind of found footage. I don't understand. What prompted this to get made? This might be the most ridiculous film we've seen this year, and we've seen Transformers 4. Last night we saw Ninja Turtles, and we're going to be seeing Expendables 3 next week. I don't know if anything's going to top this. This was quite possibly the most obliviously stupid film I've seen in a while.
God.
Because say what you will about the Expendables movies, say what you will, heck, about Ninja Turtles, and even though I am not a big fan of the Transformers movies, I know that they don't take themselves too seriously, and none of those other movies do. This film does not even attempt to have any realism whatsoever, and yet it takes itself very seriously. I'm just gonna have to start from the beginning.
There's nowhere else to start, dude.
Okay, we're gonna go over this whole plot because this movie is crazy. But before we do...
Plot?
Yes, this is what happens, sorry. But before we do that, I'm going to address one of the biggest problems with this movie.
Why
And
not?
this is, now, for those of you who are interested in writing stories for films, screenplays maybe, here's a good rule to start off with. It may seem like common sense, but apparently there are big budget Hollywood writers who don't know this. So I'll go ahead and let you know. Be sure you know what kind of movie you're making. If you're going to make a horror movie, make a horror movie. If you're going to make an action film, make an action film. In this movie's case, it wasn't sure if it wanted to be a found footage film or not. There were times when it was clearly being a found footage film, and a flawed one at that, but it wasn't quite sure. So there was music in the film, like any other movie, even though it was found footage. It was kind of presented like a documentary, even though there were several shots that could not possibly have been taken from a camera. This movie does not know what it wants to be. Okay, a lot of found footage movies cheat, you know. They'll do things where there's no way that in real life that could have been filmed, you know. And sometimes it's okay to let that slide for the sake of the movie. But when you are constantly doing those little things like that, it gets distracting. Why are you making your film a found footage film? The whole appeal of found footage is that it feels real. It feels down to earth. But when you put music in, and when you have several shots that are not being taken from like a camera being held by a character, and all that stuff, it takes you out of the movie. It's distracting.
Like that was the only distracting things.
Yeah. Okay,
Hey,
I just want to get
we'll
that.
get to
I
it,
just
we'll get to
want to
it.
get that, and I'll talk more about that specifically as we go on. But I just want to get that right now. One of the biggest problems is this movie wants to kind of be a found footage film, but
Apparently, it also wants to be a slasher film too.
yeah, we'll get to that. But it doesn't even come close to in any way at all resembling one. So let's just start. So here's what happens. Because I know you're probably not going to see this movie, and you shouldn't.
You should not.
Unless you really just want to get a kick. If you're like, if you're like me and you enjoy a train wreck, you might enjoy this. Okay, so the movie opens at night during a storm. Well, there we go, fitting to the title. And there's a group of teenagers in a van They're kind of partying, I guess, like out on the street, and they're just kind of like doing their thing. And one of them has a camera.
They're waiting for the storm to come.
Oh, they are. Okay, so I wasn't.
They know
quite
a
sure.
storm's coming.
Okay, so they know a storm's coming, and they're like, let's go.
And then one of them's holding it.
Yeah, so one of them's holding a camera, and then the street lights start like bursting out, and they're like, "Whoa, check that out!" And so the cameraman is like, "I gotta go. I gotta see this, man." So he gets out of the car, kind of gets closer in.
And you can see.
Yes. Oh. So every time one of the lights bursts and you see a big spark, you can see a tornado in the background. And the camera just stays there. And it keeps happening until suddenly the tornado somehow creeped up to the van. There's a tornado and they don't hear it. And they don't see things flying around. I mean, it's a storm, but they don't see crap getting just tossed around. And so somehow, like Michael Myers from Halloween himself, it's like if Michael Myers was a tornado, was part of Mother Nature himself. The tornado sneaks up in front of him until it's too late, and they see the tornado, and they freak out, and he gets back in the car, and they try driving away. Too late. Car gets sucked in. Blackout. Opening credits. Because, found footage, opening credits. That makes sense, right? So, they're dead, I guess. And
it opens up then to, like, our main characters, and you hear a report in the background, like, 4 teenagers were killed in a car.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So, whatever.
Okay. So, it's graduation day at high school. Let's meet the characters. You have these...
Oh, can I just say something really quick?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is supposed to be a high school in, like, what state were they in? Like, Oklahoma or something?
It was like, yeah,
something like that. Okay, it's a school, a high school in, like, some small town, Oklahoma, and literally every single person that goes to this school is extremely attractive. There's no fat people, there's no, like, nerds or anything like that. Well, it's all, like, super hot girls and super buff dudes. And
what helps is that the man who leads this high school is Principal Obama. The principal of this high school is Obama. So, let's meet our two... He
actually kind of looks like Obama.
He does look like Obama. So you have the two main characters. Tool number 1 and Tool number 2. That's what I'm going to call them.
Fitting.
Both of them have the 2 different Justin Bieber hairstyles. One of them has the early bowl cut Justin Bieber hairstyle, and the other one has the contemporary Belieber, I'm getting myself into trouble Justin Bieber hairstyle. So you got the 2 different generations of
like the whitest kids you could imagine.
Mm-hmm. So they film everything because it's a found footage film. And their dad, Oakenshield from The Hobbit, is the vice principal, and he's a tool, and he's neglectful. And so it's graduation day. Now, I'm not going to get too much into the... If we talk about the whole plot, we'll be here forever.
Well, we didn't introduce the Storm Chasers.
Well, I will in a minute.
Oh, okay.
I'll get to them in a minute. So, Tool number 1 has a crush on generic love interest, and we can see them... Tool number 2, the brother, is filming Tool number 1 having a conversation with the love interest. And he
the
is
most
like
awkward thing I think I've ever sat through.
Tool number 2, who's filming this, is like really far back. So he's like spying on them. We can hear their conversation perfectly. And what's funny about that, even as unrealistic as it is that while he's filming and he can hear them perfectly and we can hear them perfectly, Tool number 2, who's filming it, is like making little comments like, oh man, that's so awkward, like, oh man, he's going to strike out. Even though he can hear them perfectly, they apparently can't hear him making his snarky comments. That's convenient.
And he really wasn't hidden that well, so
and I like to say, I'm not going to bring up every example, but things like that happen constantly.
Like the conversation through the windshield?
Yes. It just goes with the fact that this film is not even attempting to be a found footage film. There are several scenes in this film when people are having conversations and that there's no possible way that they would be able to hear each other, but B, there's certainly no possible way that the camera would be able to pick that up. That may seem like a nitpick, but when you're doing that constantly, and when you're supposed to
even
be,
I noticed it.
and you're supposed to be a found footage film, yeah, you know what? There's only so much suspension of disbelief that you can put up with. So those are the first group of main characters.
Actually, we got introduced to the two jackasses first.
Okay, but they're not really main characters.
Okay, whatever.
So the second group of main characters are rejects from Twister. They're storm chasers, and they have this tank called the Titus. And
I'm actually surprised you remembered because I didn't.
Yeah.
The name of it.
And the team is led by not Louis C.K. And actually, I want to know who the actor was because he looked a lot like Louis C.K. And the so you had not Louis C.K., the black guy, who, to give him credit, the black guy is not the first guy to get killed. He does get killed, but not till like. I thought he did. I thought at the very climax he got sucked out.
We talked about that, remember? He stayed at the church.
Oh, he did. So okay.
So he didn't die at all.
He didn't die. That's great, dude. Good.
And also he's not the quirky, funny black guy either. He's kind of serious.
He's just kind of there. Yeah. I mean, he's not by any means.
And then also in the Titus, there's the two other like white dudes that are just generic.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you have Laurie from The Walking Dead. Now, for anybody that watches The Walking Dead or watched The Walking Dead, a lot of people know that Laurie is a very hated character on that show, or was. Spoiler alert, if you're not caught up. Honestly, the actress, I don't know what her name is, but Laurie, I'm just going to call her Laurie. She gives, in my opinion, the best performance.
She tried.
By far.
She tried.
She was the only, besides maybe Oakenshield, she was the only one that I thought was really giving a crap in this film. And her character was actually pretty likable too. She's not like Laurie from The Walking Dead. She's actually kind of smart. So she was actually pretty good. She's kind of carrying the movie. I'm going to look up real quick who that guy was. You have any comments you want to say while I'm looking this up?
Just things that I have to say when you get to it.
I just want to. Okay, here we go. No. Okay, he's not there. All right. So, anyways, so they're chasing the storm, and they're like, oh, there's tornadoes coming here and there, so they're going.
They keep getting mad at the Laurie character because she's like the meteorologist in the group. She's telling them where to go, and she keeps telling them like wrong places, and they keep missing the tornadoes, and the guys get all mad.
So it's graduation. Principal Obama's giving a speech. Rain is happening. Tool number one takes love interest to this abandoned mill to help finish a project of hers, which I'm sure they explained it, but they are graduating. Isn't it kind of too late to be turning in last-minute projects?
They weren't seniors.
Oh, you're right. I thought they were. That's why it didn't make any sense to me.
The only reason that the dude had to be there is because he was
filming it, yeah. That's why tool number 2 was there. So, okay. So, there's that. So, anyways, so that's kind of the setup. All of these characters suck. They're boring, they're obnoxious.
They're just generic.
They're really generic. And they come up with the dumbest excuses to have cameras everywhere. One other thing about how the found footage doesn't work, I want to point out, is that there are scenes when there are several moments where they have, aerial shots. And sometimes when they show these shots, they'll have like a little news logo in the corner suggesting that this is taken from a news helicopter. Fair enough. But half the time that's not there. So half the time you just see random shots of the tornado in the air. Who's filming that? Is it somebody that's flying through the air? So I just want to point that out. So the tornado hits on graduation day. Crap goes down. The school gets torn up. And most of the movie is really just the main characters going back and forth. it's like they start the school, they go to this town, then they go back to the school, they go here, and then it's like they're just kind of going back and forth. In other words, they're just going to new areas for the tornado to hit.
Well, the first tornado had hit already.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it remember, it was going towards the car, and then like, wanted it to hit him, and then, like, miraculously, right before it hit the car, it, like, veered off and started going away, and then, like, oh no, it's going towards the school.
Yeah.
And then cut away to the school, and, you know, it's not even raining or anything, and they're all fine in graduation. And it's like,
so,
oh no, the tornado's coming.
When Tool number 1 and Love Interest get hit while they're in the mill, they get, like, stuck underground, and it starts flooding. So Vice Principal Dad and Tool number 2, they end up teaming up with the Storm Chasers to go save Tool number 1.
Well, we skipped how they met up.
Oh, well, okay, yeah.
Oh, we'll get to
we'll get to the tornado.
Don't worry.
It makes
all kinds of sense.
The best part of this movie is the tornado as a character, because it's a character. It really is. It's not an unstoppable force. It's Michael Myers. It really is. So
it's like toying with them and stuff.
It totally is. So they end up they at the nick of time end up saving Tool number 1 and Love Interest before they drown. I will say this: Oakenshield giving CPR to Tool number 1, his son. It's supposed to be really emotional. Oakenshield is totally camping up the CPR scene though, because it's not like, you know, he's not. CPR scenes are kind of a cliche in film when you think about it, and usually it's them, like, you know, just like, you know, doing this, and it's serious, and, you know, don't give up on me, blah blah. This guy was literally going like his head was going up and down, and he's like, no, no. I thought it was really funny.
Okay, like, I don't know if you noticed this, but I did. But before they get rescued, okay, so they're like trapped under the thing, under the debris, and it's flooding, and like the water's like rising up. So of course, Tool number 1 has his camera with him because he was going to help him with the project or whatever. And apparently this camera is waterproof. Because
apparently these cameras never run out of batteries.
Oh yeah, because he had the light on the entire time. Well, anyways, okay, so there's a scene where the camera's like in the back, like, of this place, and they're like in the front, which, who's filming this? But anyways, okay, the camera's in the back, and you can see the light, and I swear to God, you can see a dude in, like, trying to, like blend in, like, in a black suit or something, and, like, holding the camera.
Oh!
Like, filming them. I swear you could see a dude standing there. I was like, oh my God.
I did not notice that. That's hilarious. I'm kind of
because the camera was, like, bobbing like this and stuff, and I think it was someone, like, trying to make it look like it was bobbing in the water.
Probably.
But I swear you could see a dude.
You know, found footage. That's real. So.
And then the thing where they're like filming each other, like, saying goodbye.
That was weird.
That was stupid.
You know. Okay. Arguably the most famous scene in the Blair Witch Project is actually what's on the front cover of the poster. It's basically when the female in the group, you know, they kind of lost hope by this point, and they kind of know they're gonna die. And I can't remember her name in the movie, but they use their real names in the movie, but she kind of turns the camera, and you just see this really uncomfortable close-up of her face. It's like from here to here, and you see, like, snot coming down, and she's, like, all teared up, and she's basically just giving, like, a last goodbye to her family, and saying, like, I'm sorry that this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry I did this, and blah, blah. You know, that's arguably the most famous scene in the Blair Witch, Blair Witch is arguably the most famous found footage film. You know, that's a very emotional scene. It works because we have spent literally the whole film with this character. There's no freaking music being played because it feels real, because they're out in the woods. The music in that movie is just the woods. You know, they're out alone, and it's deserted, it's eerie, it's lonely, and you can just feel the emotion. A lot of people don't like that movie, but I think that is what works about it so well.
in this movie.
This movie did it
You don't give a crap about the characters.
You don't give a crap, and they're playing sappy music in what is supposed to be a found footage movie. They got it 100% wrong in every single way.
And it's like the water is like up to here, okay, and they're like filming themselves saying goodbye instead of like trying to get out. I mean, I don't know.
I felt like they could have gotten out.
Yeah,
I feel like they
when the dad in Tool Number 2 and Laurie eventually do get there to help them, of course. It didn't seem like they had to do that much to get them out.
I feel like they could have done more to make it look like they were more trapped than they really were. To make it look like they were in a more impossible situation. So they get saved. And then they go back to the school to get everybody, and they end up going into...
Well, no, they go back to the school because they find out that a EX5, which it's never been seen before, that they just made that thing on the scale just in case, but it's pretty much an improbability. But of course, the biggest tornado ever is coming towards the school, and somehow they beat it there.
I love that they beat it to the school.
I don't even know how. But anyways, just go.
We'll go back to the tornado. We're saving all the tornado stuff.
I'm just saying they knew the tornado when they went back to the school. They knew the tornado was coming, and they're like, "We're gonna get it now."
They get to the school, and Principal Obama's like, "No, we gotta stay here." But then Oakenshields like, "No."
Well, it's the storm shelter of the city, so they're like, "Well, we're gonna stay here."
Considering the fact that early in the film they got hit pretty hard, clearly it's not a very good shelter. No. So they load up in school buses. They, brief
and of course they leave just before the tornado. And I also love how, right as soon as they leave and they start driving down the road, the Laurie character is like, "Oh my god, it's speeding up!" It's like, okay, so it's speeding up right as you get away. It wasn't speeding up before,
Michael Myers likes to toy with his death. That's why in the movies when Jamie Lee Curtis is running, he's just walking casually. So they end up making it to like a manhole, and they get under there.
Well, cliche spoiler here. They're driving down the road in this giant caravan full of all these cars and school buses and stuff like that. And of course, all the main characters are on the bus, in the same bus, in the very back. And so all these people are going, and then a frickin' thing falls on the road, like right as they get to it, and the rest of everyone else gets away, but these people are stuck as the tornado's coming.
Mm-hmm. So they get in the manhole. The climax, there's really not much of a climax. It's just them holding on in the manhole. The main characters survive. The tornado finally goes away. I guess the end. But let's talk about what really makes this movie. The tornado.
First off, can we talk about the thing that you and I were laughing like hell and no one else was? But I guess he's not really the villain, but he's kind of like the anti-hero.
Okay, so Louis C.K.
him getting sucked up and like going above the cloud.
Before we get to the tornado, we'll get to not Louis C.K. So not Louis C.K. is like the head of the Storm Chaser group, and he's kind of a jerk because all he cares about is getting as much footage as possible of this groundbreaking tornado. And at one point, one of the characters in the group ends up getting killed, kind of because of Louis. I'm just calling him Louis. Kind of not. And Louis does not give a crap. And Laurie flat out says, if it wasn't for you, he would still be alive. And Louis is just like, you don't care. So he's kind of not really a bad guy. He's just kind of a jerk. And at the end of the movie, of course, he redeems himself by sacrificing himself so everyone else can live. But he gets into his tank, essentially. The tornado sucks him up. And
so you see him in his tank, and he's like flying.
He's literally just flying up the tornado, and then he makes it up to above the clouds.
And slowly,
in slow motion.
Like this.
And he like smiles. And you and me are kind of cracking up. I'm like, okay, so when is he going to fall down? So then he falls down pretty hard. I guess they never do confirm his death. So,
he died.
I know, I'm kidding. So let's get to the best part, the tornado. This tornado is a character. This is the slasher killer of tornado films. This guy, I'm calling him a guy, this tornado, like in the beginning of the film.
Just like to say, there is, in the movie, for the movie's sake, there are like, it's not all just one tornado.
But
there's like all multiple tornadoes.
I would like to think it is one tornado,
that's
though.
fine.
I would like to think that it's like a tornado that just branches off into other tornadoes.
Okay.
Kind of like
But anyways,
it's like John Carpenter's The Thing, if it was a tornado. So, that makes no sense. So, this tornado, you know, creeps up at you at night. This tornado, at one point, teases the main characters. The main characters are in a town, and they look over, and from a safe distance, they see a tornado starting to form, and they're like, oh crap, another tornado. It's okay, we're at a safe distance. It starts to form, and then it stops.
And then it sucks back up into the clouds.
I'm not making this up. It stops, and it goes back up, and then it literally shifts closer to the characters, and then reforms next to them.
Which doesn't even, like, there's nothing in science that could support that ever happening.
It's literally like the tornado is like saying, like, oh, don't worry, I'm far away. No, I'm just kidding. I'm here to kill you guys. But wait, it gets better. Now this is in the trailer. So at one point they are literally driving away from this tornado, and the tornado is going out of its way to go after this car. The car is going, and the tornado is like...
It's like chasing them.
It's a car chase. Chasing them. It is a car chase.
Like they're like swerving, and it's like following where they swerve.
Imagine a Fast and Furious car chase if one of the cars was a tornado. So they end up ditching their cars, and they
talk about the tornado that lighted itself on
We're getting to that. We're getting to that. So they end up ditching the cars, and they're
like... Did you hear that, Brian? Lit itself on fire.
Don't spoil it, come on. It's in the trailers. So they're like, crap, let's get in this church. They start running, and then the tornado, which is still deliberately going after these people, because they leave the road, and now the tornado leaves the road. So the tornado is going after them, and it goes over like oil.
Okay, there was a tank. There was a gas tank that hit the ground, and it was leaking, and then a power main fell on it.
Okay. So literally, the entire tornado is on fire.
Lights itself on fire. Yeah.
Honestly,
I don't even know what to say.
Honestly, Sharknado might be more scientifically accurate. Maybe.
No, okay, and here's the thing, okay? So this tornado has been chasing them all over the place, okay? And, you know, it's been moving all over the place and stuff, and they're running towards the church, somehow not being sucked in or knocked down by this tornado.
Yeah, the church is fine.
It's following them towards the church, and then it gets over to the thing where it lights itself on fire, and then it just sits there.
Yeah.
It doesn't move anymore. It just sits.
And
like basically like saying, okay, I'll let you guys think that
so
you can
here's how the member of the storm chaser group dies. So we're getting some pretty good shots of this tornado, of this fire tornado, and the guy is like, what?
5 feet away.
10 feet away from the fire tornado, and he's sitting there shooting this.
And people are like, no, come on.
And everyone's like, get in the church. And he's like, I need to film it. It's like, but wait a second. This is supposedly a found footage film, so these big shots that we're getting of the fire tornado is allegedly being filmed by these characters. So in other words, if your excuse for staying there is to film it, you already have more than enough footage of this implausible thing. But he stays there, and of course he gets sucked in and dies a fiery tornado death. And then let's talk about the other insane tornado thing.
This is like, I'm not a very big fan of found footage films, but one of my biggest problems, especially with bad found footage films, is the thing of the unrealism of, like, the filming, you know? Because, like, the tool number 2, he has, like, the camcorder, and it's always like, what are you doing? Why are you filming right now? It's like, why aren't you helping? Dude. Are you a dumbass? It's like, why are you filming this?
Dude, you should go watch
there's the part when they get to help tool number 1 get out of the thing, and it's like, And I love the actual. Oh, no, it's not that part. It's when they get to the school and all the people are running out to the buses, and there's actually a brief moment of self-realization because Thor and Okechild is like, "You idiot! Stop filming! Get over here and get in this bus!" And it's like, oh
dude,
my God.
that is just a cliche in a lot of like the Paranormal Activity sequels are way more guilty of that than this movie. Like there's way worse examples of that.
Anyways,
Diary of the Dead is the worst.
Went on a tangent.
Anyways, no, you're right. So at the end with this like extreme tornado, the big one, the father of all tornadoes. There are two of them. One's big, and one's even bigger.
Oh God, I forgot about that part.
Here's how it forms into the ultimate tornado.
Oh,
They mate.
no, they merge.
Well, okay, I like to think that they made it. We see two ginormous tornadoes form into one.
I love how they were spinning in different directions too. One was going clockwise and the other was going counterclockwise, and then they hit together, and then it all starts just going one way. It's like,
I would love to see a reaction video of Bill Nye watching this movie.
no, just a
Or
a meteorologist.
Any scientist or
Just a
meteorologist.
meteorologist watching this, they would shoot themselves. This film
This
has
movie-
no scientific.
Was written by a 10-year-old who was on drugs.
Can I just
And
say
drunk
I
at the
love
same
how before the Louis C.K. guy, before his self-sacrifice, I love the total Twister moment that we got, like the obvious copying of the Twister, because at the end of Twister, the last tornado is like a really big one.
It's an
just
F5.
like this one. Yes.
Well,
this
the
one
F5
wasn't.
is
This
the
one.
villain
This
of
one
the
wasn't.
Twister
E,
movie.
this one was the X F5,
Yeah.
which is bigger. But anyway,
Bigger and better.
Okay, so they go through the first half of the vortex, and then the center of the tornado, and they look up, and it's like a total Twister moment, and then it's like,
I know that, like, I should be more, like... I know that I should be giving this film more crap, and I should be, like, more enthusiastic, and I should be louder than I normally am. I'm just speechless, though. This movie kind of blew me away in how unbelievably stupid it was.
how did this get past post-production?
I do wonder how this did at the box office. I didn't check. This thing has like an 18% of Rotten Tomatoes, which I find hilarious.
Oh my God.
But
the part where we kind of have a found footage moment when the storm is first starting to hit this little town, and you see the storm chasers in their hotel or whatever, and then the hail starts to fall, and so they're like, oh man, we gotta get to our vehicles. So they run down, and you see them running across, and the dude is following the Laurie character with his camera. He's like running across, and he's like getting hit by it. He's like, ow, that hurts, and it's like, what are you doing then?
yeah, that was stupid. This whole movie was
Oh my
stupid.
God.
There's really nothing else to say.
If you want to see this movie, if like you really actually are like, I want to see this movie, see it just for the tornado, because the tornado is the best character.
He's hilarious. He
camps the shit out of this movie.
He really, if they ever do get around to making a Freddy vs. Jason sequel, which they won't, but if they ever do, I would like to think that he will be in there too, as their other competitor. Because Freddy vs. Jason versus Into the Storm Tornado, or the XF5 or whatever, oh, that would be so much fun. Just the idea of Freddy Krueger and Jason, like, flying around in this tornado while trying to kill each other. Oh, that is amazing. I think I'm going to go home now and write that screenplay and pitch it. They might actually pick it up, who knows. I mean, hey, this movie was made by New Line Cinema. I could be wrong.
Oh my God.
I could be wrong. I think New Line might own one or both of those franchises. I think they... Because originally...
Well, I'm sure that's how Thorin got in it.
Originally, Paramount owned Friday the 13th, but I think that got bought by New Line. So, actually, they could actually... Technically, they probably could make that crossover. Oh,
I'm-
this movie's a piece of crap.
I'm
dude.
just speechless.
I know that I'm sorry. I'm gonna apologize. You guys deserve better. Like we should be like really ranting here, but I'm just speechless. This was, holy crap. Okay.
So let me have a moment here. Was
Okay.
it better or worse than the Hercules movie?
The Legend of Hercules.
Yeah, the
Not-
first one.
Not the
first one.
Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
It.
A battle of which one's crappier.
Okay, you know what?
I'm
Technically, this movie is worse than The Legend of Hercules. It is. But it was more entertaining.
Yeah.
It had way more so bad it's good value than The
Okay,
Legend of
if
Hercules
there's- okay,
was funny,
you know,
but this was funnier.
If there's one thing that I could say that's good about this movie, like the unrealistic science aside and all that stuff, the tornadoes do look good.
The special effects are actually really
yes,
good.
the
This
tornadoes
movie-
do look good.
For
And when they destroy stuff, it looks really good.
You know, a lot of movies today are way over budgeted, which is why a lot of movies bomb nowadays in Hollywood. This movie had a $50 million budget, which while that is a major budget, you know, compare it to a Michael Bay.
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles, I think, was $120 million. This movie was only $50 million. The money was put to good use. The special effects are good.
Yes.
They are. They are pretty good, and they are entertaining to look at, despite its insanity. In fact, that makes it even more entertaining for me. You know what? If you love just so ridiculously terrible movie that you just have,
or if you like to see tornadoes destroying stuff.
if you like that,
If
But
you like Twister because you like seeing tornadoes destroy stuff, then you'll like
it. Don't pay full price. If
Oh,
you're gonna
God,
see it in
no.
theaters, go to a matinee showing or Redbox. If you are one of those people that's like, I need to see how much of a disaster this, like, no pun intended, like, I need to see how much of a train wreck this
I
piece
love
of crap
that
is.
there was actually a
And
funny thing
you'll get
about
your
that.
money's worth.
They were driving to rescue tool number 1 or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and they did something I don't remember. And you were like, "Whoa, what a twist!" And I was like, "What a twist!"
There are a lot of puns available. So that's Into the Storm. I said last night that Ninja Turtles is probably not going to make my worst films of 2014 list. You can guarantee this one will. Holy crap. See ya.